I've compiled a list of 15 of the most interesting facts about Charleston and that you may or may not know. So watch this video all the way to the end, and when you're finished, let us know down in the comments which ones you already knew and which ones you found the most surprising. Now, again, this isn't the full list. Charleston's over 350 years old, so let us know what I missed. Do you know some facts that I missed? Put those down in the comments as well. All right, let's get started. Now, since we're sitting here on the harbor, that's what we're going to start with. Now, by the end of 2022, Charleston's harbor is going to be dredged down to be the deepest on the East Coast, from 45 feet to 52 feet. Now, to put this into perspective on how big of a ship this will be able to bring in, last year in 2021, Charleston actually had the largest ship to ever visit the East Coast, and it carried 16,000 20-foot containers. Well, once this dredging is done, we'll be able to handle container ships that carry up to 20,000 of those containers. Well, our number 2 fact takes us a little outside of Charleston to Somerville, just up the road. Now, Somerville claims to be the birthplace of sweet tea. Now, to commemorate this, in 2016, they actually got into the Guinness Book of World Records for making the world's largest sweet tea. They brewed over 2,500 gallons of tea, which used 1,700 pounds of sugar. Now, the fun fact about this is they had 300 pounds of ice to cool this down, but that didn't cool it down to a sufficient temperature for the people in the Guinness Book of World Records. So they had to go and find a few hundred more pounds to get it down to 45 degrees. Number 3 has to do with the Civil War, and that Charleston is often regarded as the starting place of the Civil War. On April 12, 1861, shots were fired at Fort Sumter. Now, this wasn't the only event that started the Civil War, of course. I know you history buffs are gonna be going crazy down in the comments, but this was the last event, the catalyst that actually sparked the war. Number 4 takes me to something that I really love being a realtor here, and that is that Charleston actually has its own style of home, and the home is called, of course, the Charleston Single. Now, the reason you see these, they have the short end of the home on the street and then they go back. Now, these were to fit on the lots that downtown Charleston had. Now, many people think it had to do with trying to cheat the tax system, but actually there's no proof that said you were taxed based on how wide your house actually was. Now, most of these homes, when you see, face south out into the harbor, and that was actually to take advantage of the prevailing winds, because the thin house would let the breeze go from front to back of the home, cooling it on the hot summer days. And when you look at these homes, it brings us to our number 6 fact, and that has to do with the ceilings of the porches. Now, you'll notice that a lot of the porch ceilings are painted a light blue. This color is actually called paint blue, and the reason goes all the way back into the Gullah culture, when on the plantations they would paint the ceilings this color because a haint was a spirit or a ghost to them, and in legend these ghosts could not travel over water, so painting the roof of your porch blue was a way to trick these spirits or haints from not entering your home. Now, this isn't just on old homes. I've seen a lot of new builders and even people moving into homes now that love this tradition, and it has become a very Charleston thing to paint your ceiling of your porch blue. And sticking with the theme of colors, actually our next 2 have to do with the colors of Charleston. Now, number 6 has to do with something you've probably heard of or not, called Charleston Green. When most people look at it, they say, no, that's not green, that's black. And while it does look black in a lot of light, it is actually an extremely dark shade of green. Now, the history behind it was after the Civil War, the Union sent gallons of government-issued black paint so that Charleston could cover up the effects of war around the city. Now, Charlestonians did not like plain black, so the story goes that they mixed some green into it to give it a little character. Now, This, again, just like the blue roofs on the porches, has carried over into new homes. My first home, in our HOA documents, there were 2 colors we were allowed to paint fences around our house: a natural stain or Charleston Green. But if you know anything about Charleston, or you've ever been here or seen any pictures, you know that the whole town isn't painted black and Charleston Green, which brings us to our number 7, and that is, if you look online, you can actually find a Sherwin-Williams color palette called The Colors of Historic Charleston. And a lot of the historic societies and even new neighborhoods will reference these colors as their approved colors of what you see on Rainbow Row and a lot of these historic homes south of Broad. Moving on to number 8, if you've ever heard of George Gershwin's Porgy and Bess, that was actually written here in Charleston, actually on Folly Beach. And there's a reason why he wrote it there. Now, the novel that it is based off of, Porgy by DuBose Hayward, he lived in Charleston. That novel was written here. So there's kind of 2 facts in one. And when George Gershwin was adapting the novel for the stage, DuBose Hayward actually invited him down here so that he could immerse himself in that Gullah culture that it was about, to better portray his characters on the stage. So you probably noticed that we're keeping along themes from fact to fact, and number 9 is no different. It has to do with one of the most famous authors and poets in American history, and that is Edgar Allan Poe. Now, he was stationed at Fort Moultrie in his younger years when he enlisted in the military, right on Sullivan's Island. Now, if you read his story, The Gold Bug, it is actually his one story that is focused and based on the island. But that's not the only connection in his stories. There is a real life connection, and that is to Annabel Lee. Now, Annabel Lee, for those of you who know or may not know, was the final full-length poem that Edgar Allan Poe wrote before his untimely death. And rumor has it that Anna Ravenel, whom that poem is supposedly about, is buried in a secret grave in downtown Charleston outside the Unitarian Church. Now, with Charleston being over 350 years old, you know we've got some really old facts. And the first one is really cool. We have the oldest liquor store in the country. Now, the Tavern at Rainbow Row is located just diagonally across from the famous Rainbow Row. Now, it actually isn't a tavern, it is a liquor store, and it has been serving Charleston since 1686. Now, sticking on the old theme, our number 11 fact has to do with one of the oldest trees in the country, and that is the angel oak tree on Johns Island. Now, it is estimated to be over 500 years old, and at 66 feet tall, it produces over 17,000 square feet of shade. The park there is free to enter. Just make sure you're not climbing on the tree and touching the tree. It is very fragile, but it is surely a sight to see. Now, our next grouping has to do with Charleston's firsts. Now, we have a lot of firsts here. The first museum, the first municipal college, the first golf club and round of golf, and even the first female serial killer. That escalated quickly. Let's start off with the first round of golf. In 1743, a local merchant received a shipment from Scotland that contained 96 golf clubs and 432 golf balls, which, if you know me, that equates to about 4 rounds of golf. And the first round of golf was played on Charleston Green, which is America's oldest golf club that was established in 1786. And this was just played on undeveloped pasture land near the corner of Pitt and Bull Street. Our next fact is about the first museum in America, and that is the Charleston Museum, which was founded in 1773 and opened to the public in 1861. But that's not its only first, so it is a first within a first. In 1920, the museum hired the first female director of art for a publicly funded museum in the United States. Number 14 is the College of Charleston, and there are 2 interesting facts about this. One, it was recently voted as the most beautiful campus in America, but that's not our really interesting fact because we're talking about firsts. And the College of Charleston was the first municipal college in the United States, and it's actually the 13th oldest college in the nation. Coming to number 15, we have the oldest theater in America. Opening in 1809 is the Dock Street Theater. Now, it is still active today. You can still go see productions there. This is where Gershwin would have had Porgy and Bess playing back in the day. Now, I've personally never seen a show there. It's on my short list of things to do. Let me know down in the comments if you've seen anything there. Like, what have you seen? How was the theater? Another fun fact for you, Andre, who's behind the camera, just told me that he has performed in that theater twice. So I'm gonna try and dig in and see if I can find any footage of that for you, and I'll post it in the community tab.
Who's the greatest band around? Makes the cats jump up and down. Who's the talk of Rhythm Town? Five guys named Mo.
And now our last fact, where it escalated quickly. This one does have some skeptics, but they say Charleston is home to the first female serial killer named Lavina Fisher. Now, it is an absolutely wild story of whether she actually killed these men or not. Some say there were hundreds of victims, but what we do know is that she was hanged at the old jail, and they say that her spirit still haunts it today. Now, to go more into detail on that, I actually filmed a video about the craziest ghost stories of Charleston, with that being one of them, and you can check out that video right here. So if you want to know more about Lavina Fisher and some other crazy stories in Charleston, check out that video, and we'll see you on the next one.